Hey everyone, today we're going to check out the best games coming to PC, starting with World of Warcraft, The War Within. This game takes us into the subterranean world below the land of Azeroth, where Xal'atath, the Harbinger of the Void, lies in wait. It's also the long-forgotten seat of the Nerubian Empire. If you have arachnophobia, you might want to turn back now. However, we won't be consigned to the depths forever. We can also expect to explore the Isle of Dorne, the Earthen capital located just off the western shore of Pandaria. The Earthen also serve as the War Within's new playable allied race, available after completing their dedicated questline. Naturally, a variety of new dungeons and raids are coming with the expansion, though Blizzard is also expanding the MMORPG's endgame with the introduction of delves. This new system consists of 13 self-contained adventures to retrieve rare treasure from underground vaults as part of the Dragonscale expedition and can be completed either solo or as part of a group. Set in the world of Dead by Daylight, The Casting of Frank Stone is a multiplayer cinematic adventure game from Supermassive Games, the team behind The Quarry and Until Dawn. Along the same lines as those games, The Casting of Frank Stone is affected by the crucial decisions players make as they explore dark mysteries of their hometown. In a bid to make a student film based on a notorious local killer, 4 teens roam into places they'll wish they'd stayed away from as they're dragged into more than they bargained for. Following on from the BAFTA-nominated Frostpunk of 2018, one of the best survival games out there, we're heading back into the storm for another attempt at surviving the apocalypse. Frostpunk 2 takes place in the same last city standing, in which we found ourselves in the original game, but this time, things are changing. The age of steam has come and gone, and the future lies in oil. Naturally, this leads to newer, more terrifying threats than before. We played a few hours of the Frostpunk 2 beta and loved it. You can read all about it in our Frostpunk 2 preview. There are roving gangs of knife-wielding children, protests, and more than a few broken promises. We loved it. Surprise! The assumedly PS5 exclusive Silent Hill 2 remake is landing on PC as well on October 8th, marking Konami's first remake endeavor in its long-running survival horror series. Get ready to step back into James Sunderland's tortured shoes as he investigates a mysteriously letter supposedly sent to him by his deceased ex-wife, forced to battle all manner of horrific foes and iconic villains all the while. I won't spoil what makes this one of the best Silent Hill games ever, but if you missed out on the initial PS2 and Xbox launch back in 2001, Bloober's Silent Hill 2 is one grisly terror worth checking out in 2024. Another year, another Call of Duty game. The annual shooter cycle continues once again, and this time it's a Black Ops game set to launch this year. The Black Ops series is known for its epic campaigns. This time we get to experience the turbulent time during the Gulf War in the 90s. We've also had a glimpse of the multiplayer mode, which is adding a brand new movement system to the game, giving players more freedom on the battlefield. Finally, Zombies is going back to its round-based roots this year, something that has been highly requested from fans. Hold on to your katanas. Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to feudal Japan. It's taken Ubisoft over a decade and a half to give in to fan demands to see this historical period incorporated into the franchise, and it already looks like it'll be worth the wait. It's 1579, and legendary black samurai Yasuke is on a collision course to meet Neo, shinobi and fictional daughter of ninja Jonin Fujibayashi Nagato. These dual protagonists must navigate the turmoil of Oda Nobunaga's unification of Japan and a conspiratorial plot of politics, power, and, of course, assassination. AC Shadows delivers the shinobi and samurai power fantasies, letting us assume the role of a deadly armored warrior while staying true to the strategic and agile parkour the stealth game series is known for. With its near 1:1 scale open world, a new grappling hook, and a ninja hideout, AC Shadows might well rise to become the best in the series. Hot on the heels of games like Genshin Impact, Tower of Fantasy, and Honkai Star Rail, this collaboration between Amazon Games and Bandai Namco is already out in Japan. However, the global release was put back as decisions needed to be finalized regarding the localization. When it does arrive, It'll bring with it an adventure where you must gather allies to take down fierce foes and save the world of Regnas as one of 5 different Blue Protocol classes. You'll have the freedom to tackle the story on your own and join up with others to participate in raids and explore dungeons. We've eagerly anticipated the global release of this gorgeous-looking PC MMORPG for quite some time now, and the wait is nearly over. It's been nearly 19 long years, but we finally have a sequel to the cult classic blood-sucking RPG. The sequel takes us to Seattle, but the land of coffee and grunge has been given a coagulated coat of crimson as you unravel another rich mystery. Several years after it was first announced, we got a look at an extended gameplay trailer showing the game in action, and it was worth the wait. While the original is remembered fondly for its engrossing narrative, it remained rife with bugs and disappointing combat. Luckily, Vampire: The Masquerade, Bloodlines 2's gameplay plunders immersive sims such as Dishonored 2 and Deus Ex to make its vampiric fisticuffs just as engaging as its story. Following a switch of developers, the release date has been pushed back, but we're more than ready to sink our teeth in when it finally arrives. We finally got our first look at Machine Games' latest title in January 2024. This time, the devs swap their Nazi-blasting guns for Indy's iconic whip as he prepares to solve yet another mystery. Taking place between the first and third movie, Indy finds himself post-breakup as he tries to bury himself under his work. Prepare to take on a new set of villains as Indy tries to put a stop to the dangerous group looking to utilize the Great Circle to accomplish their nefarious goals. Dragon Age: The Veilguard, formerly known as Dragon Age 4, has been in some form of development since 2015, but that experience has been far from smooth. After several missteps from EA and BioWare over the past decade, it's fair to say the original plan for Dragon Age 4 was nothing like what we've ended up with Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Fans will be pleased to know Veilguard is a single-player RPG where you work alongside various companions to take down a group of evil gods. One of the more surprising updates from the Games Awards 2019 was the return of The Wolf Among Us 2. You can expect the same choice and consequence style narrative experience of previous Telltale games. While the original trailer confidently boasted a 2023 release date, don't expect The Wolf Among Us 2 anytime soon, as developer LCG Entertainment has hit the reset button. We got our first proper glimpse of Avowed during the Xbox Games Showcase, and while everyone's attention may have been on a Bethesda-developed space game, Obsidian's fantasy RPG adventure has all the hallmarks of a fun romp across the Pillars of Eternity world. Will you use your magic powers and competent swordsmanship for good, or will you terrorize the land with evil intent? It may be a while until Elder Scrolls 6, so this is the next best thing, even if it's not an open-world game. A sci-fi, roguelike deck builder. Yes, please. Earthless is a unique deck builder in which your cards will help or hinder your journey through space on a mission to save mankind. The space game will be released into early access sometime in 2024, so if you want to be part of the Earthless development, you can wishlist now. How well can you manage different versions of yourself? That's the unique premise behind the space survival game The Alters. You'll need to scavenge resources from the planet you're stranded on to make clones of yourself, but with minor tweaks based on the main character's history. Finishing your degree may mean that your alter is more adapted to brainier tasks, while not leaving your hometown makes you more streetwise and tougher. You'll need a whole crew to flee certain doom, but there's no guarantee that everyone will get along. It's your job to find the right balance and survive. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone who didn't enjoy the first Hades, a pin-sharp action roguelike that saw you trying to escape the underworld. It had responsive, satisfying combat, fleshed-out characters, and some of the most gratifying boss fights we've ever seen. Well, Hades 2 looks to double down on what made the first so great, only this time you play as Milanoe, the daughter of Hades, and you are gunning for the god of time itself, Kronos. Players can get their hands on the Hades 2 early access right now, otherwise, you may have to wait until 2025 at the earliest. Take a look at our Hades 2 review if you are keen to know more. The long and short of it is, while we've seen leaks of this hotly anticipated action game, we know next to nothing else about it for sure. We know it's coming sometime between 2024 and 2025 and is likely to have a Vice City setting as well as 2 playable protagonists with a Bonnie and Clyde relationship, but that's it. We'll bring you more when the game is officially announced. Skate 4, actually just named Skate. To represent a series reboot rather than a direct sequel, is the long-awaited revival of the Skate series of games, over a decade on from Skate 3. The latest skateboarding game has been a while in the making, but developer Full Circle, part of EA, hasn't been quiet about the development process, keeping us in the loop as far back as early alpha footage. While there is no release date for Skate just yet, we hope to see some open playtesting later in 2024. The Soulframe release date hasn't been announced yet, as we know Digital Extremes were focused on getting the next Warframe expansion, Dante Unbound, out of the way first. With that release date locked in for March 2024, hopefully the team are now full steam ahead with Soulframe development. That said, there has already been some serious progress on the new game, set in a new fantasy world and inspired by real-world environmental issues, as well as Princess Mononoke and the Neverending Story. After getting confirmation that Civ 7 is in development, the much-beloved strategy game series has us wondering just how it'll evolve this time around. We even have a Civ 7 wishlist of all the new stuff and changes to existing mechanics that we want to see. Fortunately, we were given our first glimpse of the game at Summer Game Fest 2024. While we didn't get to see any gameplay, Civilization 7 was given a release date of 2025, so we won't have to wait an eternity to learn more. What started out as a story expansion to the acclaimed ARPG from Grinding Gear Games has now become a standalone sequel. Path of Exile 2 will deliver a 6-act campaign set years after the events of the previous game, as corruption once again begins to take hold of the ravaged world of Reclast. Your journey to stem the tide will take you through over 100 different environments, and pit you against hundreds of monsters and bosses along the way. Path of Exile 2 will also introduce brand new mechanics, including dodge rolls and weapon swapping, which are sure to shake up your approach to build customization. This free PC game is slated to join its predecessor as one of the best games like Diablo, and we can't wait. 2XKO is a 2D fighting gasset in the League of Legends universe, as the likes of Jinx, Echo, and Darius go head-to-head in a champion brawl format. Naturally, the 2XKO characters are the star of the show, and their movesets and signature abilities should be very familiar to LOL fans. However, it's not just a one-on-one fight to the death. Project L matches are shaped by its team-based 2v2 tag system, which allows your chosen dynamic duos to take point and assist one another, pulling off last-minute combo breakers to disrupt your opponent. Riot has also confirmed that 2XKO is free to play, and we expect its monetization to follow in the footsteps of League of Legends before it. If you missed the glory days of Blade, back when Wesley Snipes portrayed the legendary Daywalker, you're in luck as Arcane Lion is bringing the series back. In this single-player game, players assume the role of Eric Brooks, the half-man, half-vampire who has no problem confronting problems head-on with his sword equipped. Blade is a third-person game, marking a big change from Arcane Lion's last games, Dishonored and Deathloop. The next game from Stardew Valley developer Eric, Concerned Ape, Barone has been announced, and it's set in an enchanting fantasy town with plenty of spooky goings-on. It shares Stardew Valley's charming pixel art style, though the gameplay focuses on combat rather than farming. As the eponymous chocolatier, you'll be tasked with fending off slimes to harvest ingredients for intricate chocolate creations, which you can sell and display in your own chocolate shop. There'll also be plenty of characters to meet along the way, though relationships may play out slightly differently than in Stardew. Unfortunately, there's been no further word on when we can expect to get our sticky hands on Barone's upcoming game, but one thing's for sure, the day we open our chocolate shop can't come soon enough. Upcoming first-person horror game Still Wakes the Deep is on the way from Bloodlines 2 developer The Chinese Room. It looks like a uniquely isolating kind of aquatic horror experience, set on an oil rig in the middle of the ocean. With furious waves lashing against the vessel and not another soul in sight, in the trailer, at least, Still Wakes the Deep is looking pretty terrifying already, and we can't wait to get our hands on this desolate upcoming horror game when it finally launches in June. Fans of post-apocalyptic settings and the best survival games, this one's for you. Once Human is an upcoming PC game that puts us right in the middle of a world on the brink of collapse, with friend turned to monstrous foe and fellow survivors turning competition as your vie for resources, shelter, and survival in an unforgiving dystopia. If those stakes weren't high enough, You'll also have to manage the basics of sanity, hunger, and acquiring safe drinking water to stay alive out here, even as a metahuman. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, as that really helps a lot. If you think any game is missing or if you're planning to play any of these games, don't forget to leave a comment. Those were the top 20 best new games for PC. This has been another video from New Quest Play, and I'll be here waiting for you for the next quest.